What's up everybody, Matt here, and today I'll be reviewing Star Wars Dawn of the Jedi Force War issue 1. So let's get into it. This issue, as the name implies, is pretty much a Force War. In the previous Dawn of the Jedi series, a race called the Rakatan Infinite Empire were like, you'll know these guys from like the Knights of the Old Republic games. They built the Starforge that's in the those two games, and I think it's on the online game as well. They basically was enslave races to build a Starforge, and then they sort of like invade their planet and, you know, take over everything. And in this it shows the war that's sort of going on between them and the Jedi, which is the forerunners of the Jedi. Yeah, the comic opens with a guy who used to work with the Rakatan Empire called Esh, and he used to be like one of their I guess sort of like a Sith Lord type thing, but he sort of defected to the light side, to the Jedis, and we see him fighting some Flesh Raiders, which are like the foot soldiers of the Rakatan Empire. And then one of his friends comes riding on a fucking flying Rancor, which I think is fucking awesome as shit, and her name is Shay Coda. And she starts fighting this other guy who is like a replacement for this Esh guy in the Rakatan Empire. And yeah, they start fighting. And then these big things turn up. They're like big walker things called Annihilators. And yeah, they turn up, and then they get destroyed by the Jedi's like fleet of ships sort of thing. And then we see more of the war. It's like they're all fighting on this big battlefield against all the Rakatans and everything. And then we're shown the Rakatan flagship of it's like the leader's flagship, and her like leader, her like commander is telling her like, why aren't you winning? And she's like, we've lost, 70% of our forces. We can't do anything against these guys. We need to retreat. So they end up retreating, and the Jedi end up winning the day and everything. And then at the end of the comic, this Rakatan woman confronts her commander, and the commander says the Rakatans are losing their force abilities, because the Rakatans have like force. They can use like force lightning and stuff like that. And he intends to find this thing called an Infinity Gate, which is a gate that was used by the Rakatans way back. And he intends to find that and be it so they can use it to like get their powers back, I guess, and like use it to like travel and shit. And yeah, that's where the comic ends. He kills the other Rakatan woman with some force lightning, because she's, sort of saying no to him, and I don't want to be part of this shit and everything. So yeah, that's where the comic ends. I really enjoyed this comic. I'd been sort of wondering whether I should review it or not. I'd known it existed, and then so I just decided, I'll do it anyway. And it's written by a guy called John Ostrander, who wrote a fantastic series called Star Wars Legacy. And if you ever get a chance, you got to pick that up. I think it's like a 50-run series, and it's very, very, very cool series. And this series is really good as well. If like, you don't need to have read the previous series, the Dawn of the Jedi series, but because it sort of explains what's happening at the start of this comic, so it's a perfect jump-on point. But if you want to know more about these characters and who they are, I would suggest picking up that Dawn of the Jedi series. It's also very fantastic as well. So yeah, the art is pretty fantastic. I think it's the same artist Ostrander used on Legacy. It looks very familiar, so it's very nice art, very nicely drawn. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.